by the United Nations General Assembly in December 1993, following the recommendation of UNESCO's General Conference. The UN declared May 3 to be the World Press Freedom Day, to be observed and to raise awareness on the importance of the freedom of the press and remind governments of their duty to respect and uphold the right to freedom of expression enshrined under Article 19 of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and for media professionals to reflect on issues of press freedom and professional ethics. The day marks the anniversary of the Vindu Declaration, which was a statement of free press principles put together by African print journalists in Vindu in 1991. Press freedom is a crucial element of the right to freedom of expression. The right to press freedom is enshrined under Section 61 of our Constitution, and it provides as follows: that every person has the right to freedom of expression, which includes freedom to seek, freedom to receive, freedom to communicate ideas and other information. It goes further to give us freedom again of artistic expression and scientific research and creativity. It also gives us academic freedom. It gives you academic freedom as students. It goes on further to say every person is entitled to freedom of the media, which freedom includes protection of the confidentiality of journalists' sources of information. This is one cardinal rule as you go into the newsroom. You must never ever let anyone know your source of information. Possibly your editor or your boss, but it is the cardinal rule to protect your source, because you are given this information in good faith. So therefore, you must protect sources. I've written during my career extensively on issues here at home and abroad, and I never disclosed my sources, even to my editor, because you never know, possibly your editor is related to that source, or your editor might be given some incentive to disclose the source. So as a journalist, you must never. I know you are going to be given more lectures on this, or your lecturers have already given you this, but I'm just buttressing on that. It's also captured in the Constitution. Also, the Constitution goes further to say broadcasting and other electronic media of communication have freedom of establishment, subject only to state licensing procedure. So, whenever you want to start your own radio station, your television station in this country, you have the right to do that. But you are regulated by the Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe. Okay? So that's what this says. And this Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe says, or our Constitution rather, says it is necessary to regulate the airways and other forms of signal distribution, but these should be independent of control by government or by political or commercial interests. I don't know how far true this is because I'm in government. ZBCS, they are independent. I don't know at what extent they allow independence of this, but it's captured in our constitution. It goes on further to say all state-owned media of communication must be free to determine independently the editorial content of their broadcast or other communication, and they are required to be impartial, to afford fair opportunity for the presentation of divergent views and dissenting opinion. This is all captured in our constitution. You are going to meet this when you go out there, when you graduate from here, and you go out there and you go to the newsrooms. However, freedom of expression and freedom of the media exclude, it's all captured in the constitution, incitement to violence, advocacy of hatred or hate speech. You remember in 1994 this happened in Rwanda, where a radio station was used to foment hatred and also to broadcast hate speech against the Tutsis. And about 1 million of them were massacred by their own countrymen, the Hutus. So it was the abuse of the media. So you must guard against that. You must also guard against malicious injury to a person's reputation or dignity, or malicious or unwanted breach of the person's right to privacy or privacy, depending on what you want to call it. And also, let's go further. This was section 61. We go to section 62 of the Constitution. It provides, this is now about access to information. It provides that every Zimbabwean citizen or permanent resident, including juristic persons and the Zimbabwean media, has the right of access to any information held by the state or by any institution or agent of government at any level, insofar as the information is required in the interest of public accountability. It goes on further to say every person, including the Zimbabwean media, has the right to access of any information held by any person, including the state, insofar as the information is required for the exercise or protection of a right, but there is a rider to say every person has a right to the correction of information or the deletion of untrue, erroneous or misleading information which is held by the state or any institution or agent of the government at any level and which relates to that person. So you can try to defame or to be malicious to anyone, but they also have their own rights. Yeah, this is where we have now newspapers or radio stations. They will write a correction to say we are correcting what we say about this person or about this entity is wrong. So as a journalist, you should be able to accept that you have misquoted this particular source or this particular entity. It goes on further to say legislation must be enacted to give effect to this right, but may restrict access to information in the interest of defense, public security, or professional confidentiality to the extent that the restriction is fair, reasonable, necessary, and justifiable in a democratic society based on openness, justice, human dignity, equality, and freedom. Okay? Enough of the Constitution. Vice Chairman, this year we have come here at NAST in Bulawayo to celebrate World Press Freedom Day on the back of the giant strike that my ministry has made in the past year, or in the past 2-3 years rather, in reforming the media sector. The major talking point was the repeal of this draconian access to Information and Protection of Private Act, IPA, in 2020 through the enactment of its successor, the Freedom of Information Act. So IPA is gone. It was a bad law. It closed my newspaper, so it was a bad law. And a lot of journalists suffered because of IPA. The Daily News was closed, and a lot of journalists, some are now in the diaspora, and others died because of no way to work. They were just in the paupers. They died as paupers. Some of them, I know a couple of them. Even those who were working for me, they also faced similar fate. So this act now, this new law, the Freedom of Information Act, provides for the constitutional right of expression, freedom of the media, the right of access to information held by entities in the public, in the interest of the public accountability. In the past year, we also had another law again, the Zimbabwe Media Commission Act, which was enacted, and it created those commissioners, the Zimbabwe Media Commission. Both acts have a major role to play in upholding press freedom.